with Paul Singer, a Washington correspondent and editor with USA Today's Washington Bureau. Paul, you look at Congress not as a place where they're just passing bills and making laws, but as an institution. Can you maybe talk to me about how you look at Congress?
Yeah, Congress is one of the largest office buildings in the country. It's 15,000 or so employees under a series of office buildings, obviously. And they spend $1 billion a year running their operation, whether it is the architects who are painting and fixing these historic buildings, whether that's lawmakers who are buying bottled water, whether they're paying for travel back to the district to and from, or whether they are doing something they shouldn't be doing with the money, whatever it might be. All of that is Congress's real operations. They, as with anything else, they prioritize the things they spend on. If you go look at their spending, you get to understand more about what their priorities are.
Okay, and all that spending, the travel spending, the disbursements from their offices, is that information disclosed, and how so?
It is disclosed poorly and irregularly. You can find the disbursement reports in the House and the Senate online. In the Senate, it's the Secretary of the Senate. In the House, it's the Clerk of the House. And they provide these reports, but of course, because of the House and the Senate, they report differently and on different timescales. The expenditures of the committees are also available both in the quarterly reports from the House and the semi-annual reports in the Senate. And also there's various places where you can see in the Congressional Record where they list the travel they've taken, foreign travel particularly. So it's out there, but it's not out there in any kind of consolidated place. You have to go find each piece yourself.
And when you find that piece, is it clear how the money was spent, or are there still a lot of details that are left out?
Oh, there's a huge amount of details left out. What you get from the reports is what I call sort of directional information. It points you towards something. Oh, look, there's $60,000 on a trip to Israel. Why did they go? Who paid for it? The stories are really what's behind those numbers. The numbers themselves are not usually the story, unless you see numbers that are so far off the charts that you can ask the question, why is Congresswoman Jones spending this giant sum of money on this object? And
is the information that is there, is it reported accurately? Have you been able to determine that?
It depends on what you're looking at. There are frequently errors. There are frequently pieces of information that nobody double-checked. And again, that's when you call the member of Congress's office and say, gosh, I see you down here for a $40,000 flight to Geneva. And they're like, wait, it was $4,000. Oh, somebody put an extra zero in. Always worth checking. Just because it's in the reports doesn't mean it's true.
And when you call a congressman or a senator's office with questions like that, do they generally try to stonewall you, or they try to explain it?
They generally have no idea what I'm talking about. The first phone call you make, invariably, you tell them, okay, I'm looking at the disbursement reports or some expenditure here that shows that you guys spent the following amount of money on the following object or trip or whatever else. The first reaction you always get is, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you send me an email with the documentation and the line item? And then they're going to go back and look and find out where that number came from, because they have no idea.
Okay, and finally, this is real good, dogged, watchdog journalism of what a huge institution is doing. When you do those stories, what kind of resonance or what kind of reaction do you get from the readers out there?
Well, the challenge is that you need to know your audience. I write for a national news organization. If I write a story that says Congresswoman Jones spent $10,000 on an improper trip, probably nobody cares. But if I'm in Congresswoman Jones' district, I'm writing for her local newspaper, people probably do care. So knowing your audience makes a big difference, and knowing how to focus the story on the thing people care about. So for USA Today's purposes, it's the national story. Oh, there's a trend here. We found 30 congressional offices that spend thousands of dollars on foreign travel. That's something we can tell people that they'll care about. It has to be a trend that is broad enough, and of course, they love it when it proves what they already thought, which is that their members of Congress are wasting money like profligate drunks.